Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session looking at the Fair Maid of Bristol, or Bristow, depending on which spelling you wish to go for. A comedy which was played at Hampton before the King and Queen's most excellent majesties. So, general limits for the play, it was printed in 1605, so somewhere slightly before that. And as we're talking about King and Queen's most excellent majesties, we're definitely post-Elizabeth in terms of some performance of it. The text comes to us in an interesting form. It is quite short. Lots of questions about how it comes to us, and a slightly rushed text has been put together for this session. So we may stumble here and there and suddenly go, hang on, that's not right. But we'll try and just do that in the chat, because otherwise it'd be really, really boring. We have, in theory, coming up later on, probably not this session, we have at least one King of England popping in. So we could argue that this is a history play, but we shall see how true that statement is further on. Without further ado, reading today, Vallenger, Chambers and Frog is...
Steve Longstaffe, retired academic based in the northwest of England.
Reading Challener, Sentloe and Ellen is...
Liza Graham, in London. I do a bunch of theatre music thing.
Excellent. Reading Messenger, Eustace and Douce is...
Emily C.A. Snyder, actor, playwright, podcaster in New York City.
Reading Godfrey, Florence and Jacques is...
It's Sascha Cooper, an actress, director, dancer, and all-round performer, Brighton in the UK.
And reading Harbert and Anabell is...
Rachael, actor on the East Coast.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions and leaping into action when we find that some of the casting doubling doesn't work. So, without further ado, we're going to dive into the text. Usual general background content warnings. It's the early modern period. Some of this might be problematic. Let's see how that goes. I'm not sure how problematic it is or not. So let's see where it goes. Act 1, Scene 1. These are all later editions. They're not original, I don't think. So we have the beginning of the play anyway. Enter Challener and Vallenger.
Come, Vallenger, let's to Sir Godfrey's house. I know there will be revelling tonight. This is his birthday, and he welcomes all. Fair Anabell, his daughter, is my love. There thou shalt see the idol of my thought, fair Bristow's mirror and my heart's delight.
Friend Challener, I wonder at thy humour to dote so much over this female kind. Charms thy senses, makes thy eyesight blind.
Thou art an enemy to women still. I prithee, what doth best agree with thee?
To see my hounds, to chase the fallow deer, to see my faction strike the partridge dead, to hear my horse career, to drink full healths, and not live puling for an ounce of beauty.
I love to see my hounds as well as thee, my horse, my falcon, and healths, when time serves. But above all, my mistress I prefer. She is the fuel that doth heat my blood. And therefore, Vallenger, for my sake, go and see. The gallants will be here tonight.
I' faith, you bind me to a mighty task. I'll see your lady and your lady's mask. Then prithee peace, here will we keep our stand.
For by the drum, the maskers are at hand.
And suddenly, there's a drum. Yeah, there we go. Enter Sir Godfrey Omferville, his wife, his daughter, and the maskers to dance.
Now, gentlemen, you're welcome to my house. Good Master Challener and your honest friend. So you are all young gallants, everyone. But we forget ourselves, body of me. Where be these lads? What shall we have? No dancing after dinner? Ho! Up at the tables! If they have dined within, and come, young lads, now to your dance again.
Here they dance, and Vallenger speaks.
False tongue that spoke such blasphemy before, that I dispraised, now doth my soul adore.
How dost thou like my love now, Vallenger?
Oh, she's divine, and I become her thrall.
Doth Bristow yield her fellow? Prithee speak.
Oh, 1,000! I must hence, or else my heart will break.
Exit Vallenger.
What means my friend in such a humour go? I'll know the cause before I leave him so.
And exit Challener after Vallenger. And the dance ends.
Gentlemen, I thank you all. Let's end to supper, though the cheer be small.
And exit the maskers. We're just going to pause there, just to take stock of this. It's nice when people come in and say, "Hi, this is your name," and yeah, thank you for telling me my name. This is your name. We haven't had that for a while in the evenings. So yeah, one's keen on the ladies and the other isn't, and until he sees a lady, in which case he suddenly goes, "Actually, no, I quite like ladies. There's nothing could go wrong with this setup at all." Lots of dancing, lots of music. Yeah. It's interesting because we did the Dutch courtesan the other week, and it's just going sudden sense of deja vu all over again. But in a very different tonal pitch. So yeah, thoughts about from the room, because we're effectively going to dive straight back into this scene. It's a bit of an artificial break I've just thrown in there. So yeah, thoughts from the room. Who wants to leap in?
Well, I quite like Challener. He's the young gallant. He's in love. He's not melancholy about it. He likes to dance. He likes to go hunting. He likes to fly the falcon and drink a lot. And he likes this girl.
Yeah, Stephen.
We don't know which way it's going to go, do we, at the minute? I mean, it reminded me a little bit of that episode in Blackadder 2, where he encounters Bob. I don't know if anyone...
Bob.
Sure.
I quite like you, young Bob.
Wouldn't catch me falling for a girl. That's damn sure as mustard. Boy. So, but I mean, who knows? It could go that way. It could go completely other way, couldn't it?
Emily.
Yeah, I do appreciate getting right to the plot. We're at plot by page 2. So this must have been, between a dance and here's our inciting incident. Yeah, this play seems to move right along. No one's going to walk off and go to bear baiting instead. They're going to stay. Pretty good work.
Yeah. It's not hanging about, this text, in its current form. So yeah. I like Godfrey. Godfrey seems a fun chap. Dancing after dinner. No.
Of course not.
Up with the tables. Yeah, dance for my entertainment, young people. Okay, let's gather a bit more data. Effectively, this could be considered a continuation. It's labelled here as Act 1, Scene 2. Re-enter Vallenger and Challener.
Vallenger, thou art a traitor to thy friend.
Not to my friend, always to my foe.
Why, dost thou love the saint I do adore?
Got to anger thee, I swear to love her more.
I loved her first. When thou didst love disdain?
I love her now, therefore thy love is in vain.
Forswear to name her, else thou art my foe.
Forswear my Anabell, hence doted, go.
Prepare thee, Vallenger, it is decreed. For Anabell, or thou, or I, must bleed.
Unfair 'tis welcome. Spare not, for thrust home.
Here they fight. And... Yes, and Vallenger falls down and Challener flies away. Vallenger calls for help, and Sir Godfrey, his wife, and his daughters come forth with lights.
Some gracious body, help! I am slain!
Who's that which calls for help? God's petty wife! The gentleman lies bleeding here that came with Master Challener. I pray, sir, speak. Who hath hurt you thus?
The villain Challener hath almost slain me.
Challener? Why, I thought you had been friends. What was the matter, sir? May I know it?
About your daughter. While she was dancing, I praised her gesture and her comely grace. But Challener, most like a liberal villain, did give her scandalous, ignoble terms, which I rebuked him for. Whereupon we drew our weapons. I, by chance being down, the coward villain thus hath wounded me.
How say you, wife? Did I not say so much? He was a cutter and a swaggerer. He hath my child? No. He aims amiss. Go presently make search throughout the city. Where'er you find him, carry him straight to prison. Look to him. Come, sir. Since your hurt was about my girl, you shall not from my house till you are thorough whole.
I thank you, sir. I am much bound to you.
Come, sir. My wife and my daughter shall be your surgeon. Come on, help him in. Softly, knaves, I say.
And they exit. Subtle as a brick.
Just like that.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't talking performance. This play is just it's just all the beats, isn't it? There's nothing in between. I loved her first. I love her now. Fight. And then a bit of a bit of fibbing from Vallenger there, and just a soupçon. And Godfrey, goes for it. I really want the wife and daughter now, however, to be pulling on scrubs and surgical masks and things. It's just I don't know how bad his hurt is, but I just
No, I don't want no scrubs.
Rob is a guy can't get no love from me.
Hanging out the passenger's side.
okay.
That's right.
Okay. We're moving on. We're losing Stephen.
Hey, come on, you got to go with it. Go down that rabbit hole.
We've got a plot. We've from 0 to 60 in no seconds at all. I mean, it really has escalated super fast. Sort of enjoying it so far, but it's just like it's so difficult to do any analysis because it's just plot points. Quite nicely put together plot points, but Emily and then Sascha.
Well, it's just interesting because I'm thinking like this is going faster than any sitcom does, which only has 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get everything in. Dance, love, fight, love, lies, And I was thinking, I don't know these characters at all, but I don't need to know any of them because it's lovely. I just know that they're stock. All I need to know is they're a lover, they want so-and-so. So the objective is incredibly clear. So I'm just sort of taking notes. You could just go fast if you go with tropes, man.
Sascha, then Rachael.
I'm just going to say this. This is Blackadder before Blackadder came about. It is. It's just, straight to the point. No beating around the bush. I'm already seeing Stephen Fry and Godfrey. I've got Stephen Fry. I've got the Hugh Laurie character, the Prince. I've got dear, it's going quickly down a rabbit hole, and it's fast paced. Love it.
Well, I mean, we say it's fast, but I mean, in practical staging terms, if they've got a mask coming on, there might be a bit more hiatus before we get to the fighty bit. But it's a question of how long you'd want that to go on for, and what kind of DJ does Godfrey hire? That's the question. What's the music going on there? Sorry, Rachael.
No, it's that I was just going to say the same thing as everybody. It's just like you said, let's cut out all the boring bits with all the exposition and let's just have them fight, speed run this play to the end.
Okay. Well, I feel this session might be quite short. Because we'll see how it goes. We still have more Act 1 to go. Not much, but there is still some Act 1 left in terms of the way the script has been broken up. Again, I'm fairly certain that's later and artificial. Anyway, Act 1, Scene 3 as labelled. Enter Harbert. It's probably proves it.
I prithee.
No, there's more. Sentloe and Florence, a courtesan.
I prithee, Sentloe, leave this idle life that will undo thee. If thou follows it, art thou so fond over so light a thing? Dost thou expect her lust before my love? Dost thou not see thy sin, nor yet thy shame, thy reputation, honour, nor thy name?
I prithee, Harbert, peace, content thyself. She whom I love, thou seest, loves me again. Think'st thou that I so long have seen the world and do not know my friend now from my foe?
She who thou think'st will prove thy greatest friend, will prove a serpent and a cockatrice. For what is she but a common stall, that loves thee for thy coin, not for thy name? Such love is beastly, rotten, blind, and lame.
Forbear this, and chide me for aught else.
Leave this, and undertake what likes thee best. Leave her, and then my thoughts will be at rest.
And why, sir, leave me for your company? I would thy love were equal unto mine, then Sentloe should be sure he had a friend.
As thine, I'd rather hang myself. Sentloe, leave England for a little space. Go to brave Richard in the Holy Land. The wars will teach thee to forget thy love.
Will Sentloe leave her that doth love him so? For thy sake will I go and russet, lie in a cottage, eat whatso thou please, rather than I will want thy company. I will become as mild and as dutiful as ever Grisel was unto her lord. And as for my constancy, as Lucrece was, and if that Sentloe will but live with me.
I know it, sweet. When I from thee depart, then let my lukewarm blood forsake my heart. Harbert, you wrong me to abuse her thus.
Thou wrongst thyself and me and all thy friends. But if thou wilt not leave her company, I vow my friendship unto thee is cold. I'll leave thee to the humours of thy youth, to one that hath no honesty nor truth.
What, dost thou threaten me? Go where you please. Harbert, your company contents not me. Leave me. I'll leave thee first, and so farewell. Come, love, let's hence. To Bristol we will go. Who cares where Harbert be, or friend or foe?
And an inferred exit there for Sentloe and Florence.
Oh, how unbridled is the course of youth, that takes his friend to be his greatest foe, and thinks the counsel that should do him good, like poison, or as the herb draconis. Well, though thou scorn thy friend that holds thee dear, he will not leave thee in extremity. Thou art gone to Bristow, thither will I go, where I will prove a friend and not a foe.
And exit. So we've sort of got a slightly inverted plot line here, with someone who's choosing a partner and the other person disapproves. So a sort of inversion of where we were in the previous sequence. Thoughts of the room on this little exchange, Rachael?
When was this written? Because it kind of reminds me of, I feel like it's taking something from interludes. Like there's something about this that is just so so much. There's so much forward momentum here that it seems almost like an interlude.
Well, we're long past it. The interlude's prime. It's I would say around about 1604-5ish. So we're into the Jacobean, and yeah, it definitely feels like it, sort of in tone and lightness. It does feel a little earlier than that, but the repertoire could be wide. So just because of things we think of as being particularly of the period, doesn't necessarily mean that it actually is representative of all the stuff that might be there. Emily?
Just to keep my verse nerd cred, it's interesting to see that there's almost no poetic language. It's all very straightforward, with the exception of like every once in a while it rhymes. And the rhyme seems to be there just to emphasize a point more than anything. So it's always delightful when it shows up. But also what's interesting is he's, while iambic seems to be sort of the main horse that we're on, he absolutely does not care whether he's in 4, 5, or 6. It's just sort of all over the place. There was even a 3 in there at one point, which I think, though, is sort of adding to the liveliness and conversational tone. So just kind of interesting.
Other thoughts? There's part of me looking at the overall plot line, starting going, oh, I can see problems ahead. I can see some thematic issues that may be arising. But anyone sort of mentioning, oh, I'll be like Griselle, you're sort of going, oh, that's not a good move. But then I'm hoping Florence is lying, so that's sort of where I hope that's going. Other thoughts from the room, from what the later editor has decided is the end of Act 1. Okay, shall we go back to what I will now label as the A plot? Let's just go back. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Sir Godfrey. We like a bit of Sir Godfrey. Vallenger, as well as Sir Godfrey's wife and his daughter.
Sir, I am glad you are so well recovered, and for the motion which you made to me, touching my child, I promise you truly, sir, I do not know the man in Bristow, that I affect more than I do yourself.
Sir, I have found it. I wish I may make satisfaction for your good regard and loving care that you have had of me. So please you, sir, to know your daughter's mind, which way her maiden thoughts are most inclined.
Enter a messenger with a letter.
From whom the letter?
From your father, sir.
He reads the letter.
Come hither, wife, daughter, a word with you. I know that once thou didst love Challener, but he is fled, thou seest, a swaggering fellow. Tell me, my girl, wilt thou be ruled by me, and I'll provide a man fit for thy turn?
Faith, whosoever you shall think meet.
Why, that's well said, my wench. There spoke an angel. Look yonder, what sayest thou to Lung Vallenger? He is a man as 'twere complete of wax. His father is an honourable knight, a Challener, a very stock to this. Love him, my girl. Say as I say, do.
I never heard a father labour more to win his daughter that was won before.
Ellen?
Daughter, what say you to your father?
Why, wife, I know what she would say already. She has loved Challener, and would think her fond in leaving him too soon to choose another, and thinks we would be angry if she loved Vallenger. Tut, use thy mind.
Father, I know these words are all but jests. Dispose even as it likes you best.
Well said, my girl. Then Vallenger is he. What say you, Ellen? Do you not agree?
What likes you two is never cross. Mine is the care, but yours is the loss.
Now, Master Vallenger, good news of God's name, from whence is that letter, sir? May I know?
You may, Sir Godfrey. This letter is from my father, sir, who tomorrow comes to Bristow and means to sojourn here all the winter time.
He shall be welcome. I would my house were thought fit for his entertainment. But son, so may I call you now, and if that you agree, how say you, sir?
Sir, I wish it were tonight before tomorrow, and by your daughter's leave, seal it with this kiss.
Oh, well said, Hoss. You'll never be younger. Let's get in all things in readiness.
And they exit. Right. I'd just like to say that I was really moved by everything the messenger did there. I thought that was a beautiful part. I'm also going, why did the messenger even get a line? I mean, it's just...
This was the producer's kid.
Yeah.
Surely, yeah.
Yeah. The work experience in for the day. Yeah, you can have 4 words. There you are. Use them wisely. And the problem with a part like this, it's the kind of thing where you're going to fluff it actually because it's so small. You come on and just say from your mother, no, your father. There. So yeah, it's the wooing of Anabell. Well, the bargaining for Anabell. I'm that line of Annabelle's. I'm not really, because Anabell hasn't said a vast amount of dialogue. I'm not actually quite sure what her opinion is actually, because I wasn't sure how to read that line. Because you could read it almost both ways, so I was a bit confused. Rachael,
I took it that she likes. I think she thinks Vallenger is fit, and that he's going on and on about. Oh, look at him! About what an honorable knight he is. She say. I think it's he's preaching to the choir is what she's saying.
But it's just the way the line could be read, and it's what Godfrey says immediately afterwards, that that was one before, i.e. had been wooed by another person previously. I was wondering. I mean, this is the problem because there's so little data. Actually, there's part of me going, I'm not quite sure which way this scene is actually leaping, because she could be standing here saying, well, I better not say anything to the contrary, or I'm sure we'll get data later on that will tell us which way this scene should be played. But I'm not quite sure which way it's jumping. Emily.
Well, yeah, this is the weird problem now, is that he set himself up with tropes, but you can sort of only do tropes in an SNL sketch, right? If you go longer, you start to need character. And so that's what we're asking now is, well, what does she actually want? What does she feel? And if this were a different sort of playwright, perhaps, this might be, after this scene, is where you'd actually get a soliloquy, where Anabell would stop, turn to the audience, go, these are all my feelings. This is what I think. But we don't have that because this playwright's got other things to do.
Or playwrights, we have no idea. And also, what the company then decides in further down the line. Liza, did you wave?
I did wave, and I was thinking what this could be. I mean, this play is very, very tropey in general, but this could actually be a subversion of trope, because what you would expect the woman at the center of an early modern play to say is, no, I love Challener and I shall be true to him unto death, and to launch, the problem of the play that way.
Stephen.
Just back to the messenger, probably everybody knows it already, but these sort of parts are often thought to be there for the apprentices as they sort of work their way up from playing little boys towards the adult part, so that it kind of like give them a bit of stage time. And you could have quite a young messenger, couldn't you?
So I ought to have cracked my voice. I missed doing the dramaturgy, and I ruined the line.
Well, we'll never forgive you. That's back to backstage stage management things. Other thoughts before we move forward? No. Okay, let's go on to what is called Act 2, Scene 2 in this version. Enter Challener, the one who was... I'm just going to make it... He's the one who ran away and they're saying the bad things about. Just so everyone remembers. The other one. This is the other one. Okay,
he did see her first.
Who did see her? Yes. Because that's the Dibs principle is, of course, very important in the early modern. Enter Challener, his man, Jacques or Jacques, or however you want to run with that particular gag, and a gentleman of Bristow, who's labelled as Chambers.
Good Master Chambers, you're welcome, sir, to London. How fare our friends at Bristow, Master Chambers?
Master Challener, all well. Your friends at Bristow would be glad to see you.
Indeed, I swear that I have some friends there. But among all, how doth young Vallenger?
Oh, the man you hurt.
Even he.
Exceeding well. He is at Sir Godfrey's house. He is on Thursday next to be espoused to beauteous Anabell, the old knight's daughter.
If possible.
'Tis as I tell you, sir. But, Master Challener, I am in some haste, and pleaseth you soon to come and sup with me. I'll tell you then the matter more at large.
And exit the gentleman.
Fair Anabell, married to Vallenger. This news doth run like ice through all my veins. Is Anabell married to Vallenger? A faithless woman, truthless and unkind, one with a word of labor lost like wind. Oh, I could rend my flesh and tear my hair, married to Vallenger. What, to my foe? By heaven, if all my wealth were in the sea, and I left desperate, succorless, and bare, it would not half so much have galled my heart as this same news, this fatal deadliness.
What cheer you, master? Never be so sad. Tut, let her go. More wenches may be had.
No, none like her. But I will straight from hence. With mine own personage, I will dispense. I prithee, Jacques, get me a doctor's weed. For unto Bristow will we with all speed. There will we see the bridegroom and the bride. Get straight post horses, for tonight I'll ride, and presently get me a doctor's tire, till I am at Bristow each part is one fire.
And off they go to get some costume changes in. So disguise! There's going to be disguises. I'm interested about Challener's little soliloquy at the end. I quite like the idea that the servant just sort of he's in the middle of doing an emotional moment. The servant just, yeah, don't worry about that. Just sort of steps on his line. It's like to undercut what's going on there. Still little nodules of worry in the back of one's mind about where this could be going, but it's also the way they keep talking about Bristow to Bristow. We will go to Bristow. It's very. If you've ever watched the film The Witchfinder General, they talk about Lavenham in very much the same way for the first half of the film. We're going to Lavenham. We're going to Lavenham. Eventually, they go to Lavenham, and then they burn witches, so it's fine. So that's just the way they keep mentioning that. A lot of names keep getting brought up. It's really nicely, just doing all the detail, all the things. Thoughts about this? I'm still sort of enjoying it. It's Rachael.
Now what Vallenger said is kind of true, although belatedly. Now he's cursing her name and doing all this other stuff. I think Jacques going like in the middle of his first kind of curse out of her of right before that, where he's like, is it possible that if that line was sent up and this guy was really that heartbroken about it, and then Chambers coming in not Jacques, Chambers coming in and saying, "You want to come sup with me?" is almost like, "Oh, that's too bad. You want to come over for some tea?" Like, it's so I guess every day compared to if the other thing was sent up and then the other thing was just so every day. It's just so hilarious of the way this guy keeps getting undercut by everybody. It's like he thinks Challener thinks he's in a different play than everybody else is in.
Yeah, we're in a situation where someone managed to get 10 lines out in a row. That's 11 lines of dialogue there, of soliloquy there, without interruption. So I don't think anyone else has quite managed that. Even Godfrey only, I think, got to about 7 or 8. So yeah, almost a soliloquy. Almost. Stephen.
I love the way he just says, "Get me a doctor costume." One, I like that because it's that early modern thing, like, so when the person in the doctor costume comes on, that'll be me in disguise. But I also kind of like the farcical randomness of it as well. It makes me think there's going to be some kind of strange thing related to the costume. My mind is racing, thinking, how on earth is being disguised as a doctor going to help? What kind of strange plan has he got, and what kind of crazy stuff's going to happen? So I'll be really upset if it goes all tragic on us, because it's so random.
Yeah, and it's mentioned twice in a row in short succession.
Not a musician, you know. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, okay, yeah, ambulance driver, yeah, that'll do the trick.
Yes, and Jake obviously goes off to Mr. Ben's shop and picks up whatever disguise is required. Emily.
Well, on the question of the doctor, I mean, you could do a plague doctor because then you get that nice full mask and you don't know who it is, right? We'll find out. But actually, I was really glad to see that, because when it said, "No, none like her, but I will straight from hence. With my own personage, I will dispense." I'm like, oh my gosh, are we getting to self-harm already? Like, this is page 8, So I was very happy when it was like, no, what I mean is, like, existentially, I will not be here. I will just disguise myself as a doctor. Oh, all right, good. But yeah, I do find it hilarious that I was like, oh, what we need is a soliloquy, and then we got one, just not from the woman. So, but we got one. Woohoo! And I liked that it then amped it up with all the rhyming couplets in the second bit.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we gather more data? Lots of short scenes. So, Act 2, Scene 3, as labelled. Enter Sentloe and Harbert, disguised like a serving man. So yeah, there's another disguise going on.
Did Master Herbert send you to me?
How think you? He told, I said it in the letter.
Dost thou know what he hath written here?
Not I, nor I greatly do not care.
Here he desires me, as ere I tendered him, that I would entertain this as my man.
You may if you will. If you will not, you may choose.
Huh. I prithee, what is thy name?
Blunt.
Huh. Blunt name, blunt nature. Here my friend doth write, though he be somewhat stubborn in his words, yet he is of confirmed honesty. Well, Blunt, I entertain you, sir. How now, sweet love, who's that?
Enter Florence and Frog.
Marry, sweetheart, 'tis Sir Godfrey's man that comes to bid us to his daughter's marriage.
Right, sir. My name is Frog, Goodman Frog, son of Frog Hall, that I'm sent from my master to desire you and the gentlewoman to make a step to walk, or as it were, to come or approach to dinner. This is all, sir.
You hear, sir? Is this my mistress?
Aye, Blunt.
Is she not a whore? She looks like one.
Peace, Sarah, on your life.
Ooh, what saucy merchant have you got there? Frog break his pate?
No, by my faith, he's like one would sooner break mine.
Well, Frog, tell thy master I will not fail.
Sweetheart, shall I go in this gown?
Oh, the time is short to make another.
Is not that gown good enough for a whore?
Oh, by heaven, if you maintain this rascal slave to abuse me, keep him and let me go.
Before an honest servant, let him.
Go to peace, Sirrah, no more.
I have done, sir. Harbert, whether wilt thou? Thy love unto thy friend makes thee forget thyself. Therefore no more.
I prithee, sweet lamb, content thyself. This fellow was sent me from a special friend. Though he be blunt, yet he is very honest.
I could be content to love him well enough, so he could afford me better words.
Well, I will speak no more what shall offend you.
Let's go, sweetheart. Therefore, Blunt, come you you along. Sir Godfrey stays, therefore we do him wrong.
Sentloe, thou wrongst thyself. God send thee to amend, and wouldst do further were't not for thy friend.
And they exit. So yes, the B plot is slightly more problematic in places. It's like so Herbert's plan is to disguise himself so well that his, in theory, best mate does not recognise him, so that he can basically turn up and fling insults at Sentloe's lover. Just stand there going, yeah, great plan. And then he sort of chickens out towards the end of this great plan and goes, oh, maybe this is, I'm that's a bit much. Yeah, you think? So yeah, weird plot, very, very, very odd, the B plot. Thoughts in the room there. Rachael.
I mean, we had Marston last week, and I'm thinking about what Lois and Sarah was saying after we were, I think after we were done, about how that was talking about the difference in the way that men treat different types of women that they've put into certain boxes. And I think I feel like Harbert is somebody who is from that play and is trying to act like his friend doesn't know whatever and is just not minding his business because he doesn't approve of this woman based on the social standards of this time. And I don't know. I think Sentloe's just Sentloe's just in love with somebody who society doesn't approve of. But he doesn't care, but his friends are judging him for that.
Other thoughts? Emily?
Just adore Frog. That is some great character writing. And I'm going to point out, I think, my favorite line break thus far, which is to make a step to walk, or as it were to come or approach. And you did it so beautifully, Steve. It was so wonderful. But Frog of Goodman Frog, son of Frog Hall, like, I just want this guy to introduce himself for lines and lines and lines. Give me his entire frog lineage. It's wonderful.
Yeah, obviously not to be confused with Toad of Toad Hall. That's a very, very different family line. In fact, there's been some feuding in the intervening centuries. Stephen, and then Sascha.
It's slightly off topic, but with Helen, we did some depositions from the Star Chamber, and the one that I was reading was full of kind of alternative words for things, just like this clown is. So the judge was saying, you know, did you give them a potion or spiced drink or manner, and you know, all of these kind of alternatives. So it just really struck through to me that, you know, this is a sort of, there's a level of pastiche perhaps here, or parody that that we perhaps aren't in a position to appreciate.
Sascha, yes.
Yeah. Again, just to reiterate Emily there, I want frog in everything. Yeah, just to quickly repeat that, really. But then hopping along into another topic. No, but seriously though, the setup with the courtesan Florence and you know, a few of the others is quite saucy banter in many respects, and again, it's quite fast paced. I kept thinking to myself, hang on a second, when are we going to go into a carry-on sketch? Because I mean, you know, you've got the wordplay on the saucy, you've got all sorts of stuff happening in here. I mean, obviously, we know from the carry-on film, saucy means something else, but could this be a double entendre happening here as well? You know, saucy being, oh, you cheeky sod, or something like. Obviously, in that context, I mean, it's an insult to her, but I'm just very much struck by the language and the way it's actually being played at the moment. Quite interesting.
Any more before we gather more data from the A and B plot? Who knows? Maybe we'll get a C plot. I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. Act 3, as it's been divided randomly by someone. Scene 1: enter Sir Godfrey, Sir Eustace, the mother Ellen, and Anabell.
Here, Sir Godfrey and Friel, my honoured sister, my bony bride in this fair company. Oh, how it glads old Eustace Vallenger to see this good occasion of our mirth. Had my old-hearted Sarah lived, to have seen the marriage of her dear son, and in so good and worshipful a stock as old Umfrivel, and 'twas well a woman few such live now. You old foolish eyes, will ye be watering still?
She was wise and virtuous gentlewoman. The poor will say so.
I hope my child will imitate her steps.
Well, come, Anabell. Now thou must be my wife, my housewife, and my housekeeper and all. I know thou hast been bred up for a housewife. Thy husband's a wild boy, I confess, but let him stay and keep thee company. Or by the holy rood, he roosts not here. But, brother, there's an Italian doctor that's commended to us by his special friends, whom we must entertain with good regard. Oh! Who's within there?
Enter Vallenger, Challener like a doctor, Sentloe, and in theory Florence, though not listed originally.
Who you call, sir?
Fie, Ned, you trifle out the time.
I was welcoming this gentleman, this gentlewoman, and this doctor, being strangers here in Bristow.
Signor Julio, I understand you're called, sir.
That is my name, sir.
Oh, right, Reverend Doctor. You're most welcome hither. My house or what else is at your command?
The like I say, sir. Be bold thereof.
Most honoured knights, whatsoever lies in me, command my best endeavour.
Well, come, Mistress Florence, you must know that you're welcome to Bristow, and must now help to grace our bride.
With all my heart, Sir Eustace, at her service.
Master Sentloe is the man I chose to entertain the bride. He gives me leave to welcome Mistress Florence.
Come, brother, you are to confer with Master Doctor. What, on your wedding day and change, is your bride's beauty less esteemed than mine?
The bee that sucks the bitter hemlock flowers, when that he come to taste the violet, does count his former food as trash and weeds. Thou art the violet, the bitter hemlock She, I blind before, but now mine eyes doth see.
I overheard thee, thou base Vallenger, that such an angel should endure the evil to link herself to that insatiate devil.
Come, we discourse too long. We shall have time enough for conference.
Will you be so coy?
Faith, you men are so deceitful that she's a fool will credit what you say.
Oh, why, Ned, what meanest thou?
Sir, but one word with Master Doctor, I come. Well, I will compass thee whatsoever befall.
Exit all but Vallenger and the Doctor. Sentloe is just lingering for a moment. I'm not sure why Sentloe is lingering there for a moment. I don't recall him entering. Oh, he did enter, yes. So, Sentloe. Liza?
Well, since the bride doth give me leave, I'll be so bold as to have a dance.
And exit Sentloe, leaving Vallenger and Challener alone together.
Doctor, a word.
With me, sir. I with thee.
Men of thy sort are sworn to secrecy. But further me and keep my counsel in that which I shall here impart to thee. I'll give thee £100 in gold.
Oh, sir, here is my hand. Whatsoever lies in me, you shall command my heart and secrecy.
It is enough, then, Doctor, thus much know, though haply it may seem strange to thee, that on my marriage day I should transgress, so far as now I must reveal to thee. But think, 'tis love, blind love, that leads me on, that conquers gods and much more mortal men.
Delay no sin, but speak your mind at full.
And thus in brief, Anabell is my wife, but Florence is the mistress of my heart. I love her, Doctor. Dost thou conceive me now?
How would I should help you in her love?
Why, now thou comest unto the very main. Thou knowest her sweet heart, Sentloe. He's the let.
And what way would you have him removed?
Poisoned, man. Little dram will do it.
A poison? Sir, alas, you know 'tis death.
Aye, if it be known, but that shall never be. Speak, honest doctor, wilt thou do it for me?
Sir, for your sake, although it touch me near, here is my hand. I do it.
Doctor, never fear. Gold will solve all. That thou shalt not want.
Sir, I'll stretch mine art to do you good, though venturing so it cost my dearest blood.
Thanks, gentle doctor. Go to Florence straight. Within this hour I'll in the garden wait. There bring her alone. Sentloe is sure. And as for Anabell, her thoughts be pure. Sentloe once dead, doctor, thou knowest my mind. Faith, Anabell, she stays not long behind. Good doctor, fail not. I must now to dinner.
And exit Vallenger.
Now heaven forgive thee thy pernicious sins. I poisoned Sentloe. Now the Lord forfend that such a thought should enter in my breast. Blessed be the time I took a doctor's shape, for by this means Sentloe his death shall scape, and lovely Anabell her life set free. False Vallenger shall be deceived by me, and that deceit is lawful, kind, and just, that doth prevent his murder and his lust. Though I have fair Anabell's love lost, yet Vallenger shall in this suit be crossed.
Dun, dun, dun. So, the absence of a few stage directions to clarify what was going on there, because you sort of get halfway through the scene and go, what? The moment that Florence has spoken or walked by Vallenger, he's gone, hello. And there's a little speechette, which is supposed to be, I think, an aside when he's talking about the bee that sucks, etc., etc., is to go, I quite like Florence now. And Challener, because of his magical powers, can overhear soliloquies and has gone, I see what you're up to. I will stop you in your tracks. I don't think that's very clear from any of the dialogue that goes before, but it's made quite clear with the exchange between Vallenger and Challener afterwards that, yeah, he's decided to say, no, actually, I want to have Sentloe's partner here, and with poison, and actually also saying he's probably going to get rid of Anabell later as well. I mean, my God, he's gone full villain here. I did not see this coming. Emily.
I'm wondering actually about Eustace. I'm not sure the second speech should be Eustace's, because the lines are, "Come, Anabell, thou now must be my wife," and I'm just sort of like, I thought it was going to be a plot point, and then it wasn't. So I'm confused. I'm confused even there.
It must be misassigned. It's got to be Vallenger that says that. Just as later on, there's a line misassigned later on, so it is clearly a thing with this edition. There's doctor a word, and then assigned to Challenger is, with me, sir, I with thee. But I with thee should clearly be Vallenger.
Yeah. Though technically Vallenger hasn't entered at that point, so there's some weird things going on there. But yes, I agree that this whole sequence seems a little untidy. That there's some moving around that might need to be done for a lot of it. But again, it's not hanging around. All of that first half of the scene is very much little bits and pieces, and then we have this quite compact but quite satisfying evil talking to someone who doesn't know is good moment. Yeah, I mean it's really leaning into the melodrama thing here now. And that seems almost more where you lay this of going that this is really enjoying switching round, and I'm not sure that laughter is actually our primary mode here, is that it's just constantly moving forward. Stephen.
Yeah, well, I suppose I'm just going to agree with you, but I wonder if this is what Rachael was saying earlier, about this sort of recalling an earlier kind of drama, because it reminded me very much of kind of classic era Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie has no interest at all in the psychology of the bad people and or the good people. We just know that this has got to be thwarted one way or the other, and that's the point of the story. So introspection is not us, and that does remind me of some of the earlier plays that we've done. Some of the more plot-driven ones.
Yeah, it's feeling to me more a callback to that sort of 1580s, or even earlier. That sort of thing where you're just throwing the plot on the stage and letting it run, and having fun while it's happening. I mean, I'm still, even where there are moments that are slightly problematic, I'm still generally enjoying this in a way that's probably not healthy. But yeah. Other thoughts? It's very compact as well. I mean, we're stretched with how many people should be reading it here, but even if you actually expand it out, everybody's sort of now started collecting in the same place, but it's not a massive cast requirement here. Rachael, did you wave, or did I imagine that?
I was just going to say, it's like Vallenger all of a sudden has turned into like the silent era movie villain tying a damsel in distress on the train tracks as you hear the chugging of the train almost, twirling his mustache.
It's like someone's handed it to him earlier. It's like, everyone's in disguise now. Is there something you'd like to cosplay? Evil. Evil, right. Okay.
It's like an improv show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Somebody shouts something out.
Now Vallenger's
Evil!
evil! Sascha.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh here a bit because this actually, the way, again, it's coming back to the whole way it's written, but to put a modern context on it, if anybody watches Horrible Histories or the BBC series Ghosts, it's got that sort of feel to it. There's a character in Ghosts who almost falls into that very category that you're talking about with the villain side of things. It's the army major. Yeah. Rachel's just put in the chat there, Drunken History. Yes, there is that show, isn't there, on Paramount called Drunken History, and you've also got in the BBC show Ghost, there's an army major from World War II who's got very thin moustache, but the way he behaves, it could almost be villainesque. It's quite interesting seeing how you can actually put that into a modern context. And I think, again, I'd agree with Robert in the sense that you wouldn't need a full a big cast to do it. I think even if you were to do it on stage, already I'm getting ideas of, what you can do physically to indicate some of the characters, maybe try a bit of panto-esque style elements, with the asides and all that kind of thing as well.
Okay. We had calls for earlier more frog, and it's like the survey answered. Have a play with how you want to perform that, because we have frog and we have Douce.
Come, Douce. Now we have time and place, as they say. I prithee, use me with no delay. But still do not say you will not have me now, because I am none of your burghers, Douce, as I am hasty. Well, yet I am not the hastiest, though I am resty. Yet I am not lousy, and of one that cannot talk much. So I love to speak little, for as that worthy philosopher Hector says, the words of the wise do offend the foolish. So Douce, in few words and in tedious talk, tell me, when is this day?
What day, frog?
What day, frog?
Mm.
Dost thou ask what day? Why, Douce, this day of wedlock, Douce, this day of going together, Douce, this day of wearing out sheets and throwing down blankets, Douce.
Faith, frog, you know I have as little, and for your own part, yours poor as Job.
Well, you're not so scabbed, I thank God, Douce. Well, I see you regard not the wisdom, but the wealth, not the man, but the money. Oh, Douce, thou hast much to answer for.
Besides, I think you do not love me.
Not love thee? Well, I cannot dress my master's horses for thinking of thee. I cannot dream for sleeping of thee. But for a certainty, I love thee indeed. When I go to bed and pluck off my shoes, there you may smell love out of me. And then I sigh, and then I pause and say, the Douce is the only cause.
Well, frog, I but jested all this while. If faith, frog, hadst thou been ruled by me, thou hadst not been frogging out of the well so long. But frog, 'twas thy fault.
But more is to come, Douce. Then you will have me. We shall to this gear.
Aye, sweetheart, name you the time, the sooner the better.
So say I, Douce, for the old saying is, He that has a good dinner knows better the way to supper. But Douce will be married a Sunday, and
Right.
that we will be spoken to be liberal, will give 10 groats to the poor. With this proviso that if we need it, we'll have our 10 groats again.
Aye, but afterwards, will you not prove unkind?
Oh, Douce, unkind!
Yeah.
When tinkers leave to drink good ale, and soldiers their weapons fail, when pedlars go without their pack, and water is more dear than sack, when shoemakers drinks that is small, and lawyers have no tongues at all, when fencers leave of giving knocks, and young men hate fair maidens' smocks, when drunkards scorn a copper nose, and botchers ne'er mend lousy hose, or when the cat shall hate a mouse, then frog shall prove unkind to Douce. And so, sweetheart, let's go and wed, and after to dinner, oh, then to bed.
And exit. And once again, we have a lot of fun with Frog. Lot of fun with Frog and Douce there. Frog, once again, taking quite a long time to get to the point of his initial sentence. How long can you stretch this question out? He's got a wonderful way with words. Pluck off my shoes, and there you may smell love out of me. Yes, that is a line. That is a line to use.
I'm using that one. Yep.
Yeah. That's a nicely removable scene in its own right. I just love that. That's one to pop in one of the compilation shows. That's absolutely got to go in, because it you don't need any context for almost any of it. It's just a nice, really weird bit of clowning. Thoughts, Stephen, on that front? Actually, you were performing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just decided to make a real pig of myself, basically, which is kind of what the scene is about, isn't it? It did strike me that this sort of stuff is no more ludicrous than any of the main plot stuff that we've been playing with. You know, this kind of the playfulness of it. I mean, it's a bit more self-conscious, isn't it? But it's kind of a piece. Yeah, I know what you mean by it's detachable, but this is the kind of play that it does slot quite nicely into.
Oh yeah, I don't mean it's detachable in the sense I would cut it. No,
I didn't mean that. But
no. But yeah,
everything else is so context free as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they're living in a play, and it's like the fact that people can overhear other people's asides. They know they're in a play on some level. Rachael, I think, was waving, and then Sascha.
No, I was just I would love, like, for the love scene, like in a full production, for the love scene of this scene to be played up even more, just like to the nth degree, because that to try and deliver these lines even more like as if this was the wooing, like if that feet smelling line was the wooing, is just like it's so ridiculous, like already, like just there's something about this that is just that over the top farce. Or to have it like in a rom-com, how there's always that scene where somebody's in the rain and they're like, this is the real me, accept me for it would be funny for it to be played, and any which way a production could do this, I think, would just be hilarious. But I just wanted to throw some ideas at the wall that maybe a production could explore in rehearsal, because this is a disgusting gem of a scene.
We do it with cards like Love Actually.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Sascha.
I I'm just kind of I see where you're going with the rom-com side of things, but I'm not joking. I still think this is early panto. This is so early panto. I mean, he's going down the road now. I mean, Frog's revealing a very different side to him, and you kind of. I'm just thinking to myself, hang on a second. If a production was to put this on, they might want to consider, especially if it's because we had this thing in between lockdowns, didn't we, where we had summer pantos in lieu of the Christmas panto. This I could just see as a perfect summer panto, because you've got the jollity, you've got the asides, you've got the farce, and it fits in so nicely with with the lightheartedness of the summer, but yet touching a teensy bit into a bit of a dark territory going on there as well. You could even set it in the Victorian era, in the sense of, you've got the villains like we've already explored with the handlebar moustaches. I'm already seeing a lot of potential here. The more we go on, the more I'm like, hello, we could do this. We could do this.
Yeah, and leading into the panto thing, at some point, Richard the Lionheart's turning up, so you can't really get more panto than that. Stephen,
can we show some love for Douce's line about "Thou hadst not been frogging out of the well so long"? It's all the way through. It seems to be just this kind of straight figure, comedy straight, and then that line is just brilliant. I think, it's difficult to back to the frog thing. I suppose I have had a thought about it now. It's I think you miss something if you did him as just stupid, and I think you miss something if you do him as a kind of character in love with his own rhetoric. There's a kind of line to walk there, I think. It seems to have elements of both of those, but you'd need to make decisions, I think. I don't think the scene walks itself. I think you would need to kind of try and pin some of that down a little bit in performance.
And it's a question of also the speech at the end. Is that a song, or is that just sing-song-ish? Because that gives you options as well, and that the question of songs in where you throw those in. Liza,
it could be a song, but I would look at it as tetrameter is so often the rhythm of the supernatural. So what he's speaking is a mock prophecy, I think.
Oh, yeah, like that. Emily.
Yeah, on that, because it was so interesting to suddenly have kind ale, fail, pack, sec. It is couplets. The tetrameter to me wasn't reading so much supernatural, though I think you're absolutely right. Tetrameter has been used in many plays with the supernatural. But to me, it sort of had, acting wise, and I think it was played this way, more like a bounciness. It was actually reminding me a lot of Auden as I walked out one night. Maybe it's just because, when this shall happen, when that shall happen, and Auden uses that in that poem. But it had a bounciness and a regularity that actually we haven't seen in his verse before. So I wonder if that's why you were thinking song, Robert, is because it was suddenly so regular and tight and whatnot. I would wonder if it was perhaps something that's composed beforehand and that he's reading, or someone wrote for him, or he suddenly whips out a book or something. But yeah, as we're sort of saying, lots of directing choices, which makes it a very malleable and fun and playable scene.
We need to move on to our next one, Act 3, Scene 3. Enter the Doctor, i.e. Challener in disguise, and his man Jacques.
Oh, Sirrah, at the back door, bring Mistress Anabell. Make haste, away!
I warrant you, sir.
And exit Jacques.
Well, Vallenger, if all things fall out right, you shall have little cause to thank the doctor. But here he comes.
assume he does indeed come there. Enter Vallenger.
Oh, script is stuck.
Yeah, I've got there's no... I'm making a note because there isn't actually in my version I'm looking at. I don't see a stage direction. So
How now, Doctor? What, will Florence come?
She will be here, sir, presently. And see, you can no longer speak, but you can no sooner speak, but she is come.
Enter Florence and Herbert disguised as Blunt.
Thou, Sarah, do you tend at door? Let none come in unless I call to you.
I will straight fetch Sentloe to this match. Are you there, Doctor? If faith, I'll be even with you.
And exit Herbert.
Sweet mistress, welcome.
Vallenger, now by this light thou art the welcomest man in Christendom.
Thanks, gentle mistress. But how if Sentloe come?
Hang him. I never loved him in my life, only I gulled the rascal for his money. Yeah, just gull him for his money, like.
The more villain Vallenger to leave his true wife for a common stale.
Oh, now by this hand, I wonder, Vallenger, what delight thou takest in such a wife, but that she is somewhat wise and modest, but to content a gallant spirit indeed. By this light, she is a very block to me.
Hang her. I care not for her. Our fathers made the match.
But enter Anabell.
Now, where the devil, what whirlwind blew you hither? How now, minx? What make you here?
I heard my Vallenger was all alone. If I offend thee, love, I'll straight be gone. Yet I had rather stay, and if you please.
Vallenger, what makes your minion here? What are you, jealous huswife with a pox?
I pray you, gentlewoman, be not offended. Please you, my husband, and all shall be mended.
Gossip, get home, or I shall set you packing.
I have a trick, and if it fall out right, shall moo her patience ere she part from hence.
Thou art to me as body to the soul. My life is death without thy company.
By my troth, here is an excellent abato. Would ever I had such a one?
Likes it thee, mistress? Here, take it. The worst will serve your turn.
With all my heart. Here, mistress, take it. At home I have a better. Please you to go. With me I'll give it you.
Here's a wonderful good-fashioned gown. I'd ride my horse 20 miles for such another.
As if, on case, the worst will serve your turn.
All that I have, sweet Vallenger, is thine, and what is thine thou boldly mayest bestow. Give all I have, only reserve thyself, and, gentlewoman, pity my estate. Think that I am a woman as yourself? Had you a husband that you loved so dear, and see another rob you of his heart, would it not grieve you? Yet I know it will, but yet I pray, for my sake, use him kind. I am sure he'll deserve it at your hands.
Go, get you hence, or else I'll send you packing.
I will, sweet love, and wheresoe'er thou art, God send thee never a less loving heart.
And enter Sentloe and Blunt after the exit of Anabell.
Vallenger, you're a villain to use me thus.
Sentloe, the villain I throw back again, will maintain mine honour with my sword.
Draw, Vallenger, one of our deaths is nigh.
And here they draw. Harbert and Challener, both of them in disguise, come between the two fighty people.
Go to, put up, Vallenger, or I'll make you.
Sentloe, another time shall serve for us.
And exit Vallenger and Challener, still disguised as Doctor.
Oh, prithee, gentle love, be patient.
Out, you whore! Come not in my sight, for if thou dost, by heaven, I'll martyr thee.
And exit Sentloe.
Callest thou me whore? Now by this light I'll have thee murdered, and if gold can do it.
Gold can do much, but devil can do more. Here is a true pattern of a common whore. Mistress, what means my master depart in such a rage?
Forsooth, the gentleman is jealous, but I would quickly rid him of that fever, and if thou wouldest blunt but consent with me.
What is it, mistress? It shall go hard, shall make me slack in what may profit you, although you still thought that I loved you not.
Now, blunt, I see it, and will report thy love. And for a sign, here, take this purse of gold. And now, but mark the issue of my purpose. Thou seest that Sentloe's coin begins to wear, and Vallenger is even now on the spur, and for my sake will empty all his treasure, and what I have I will impart to thee. But murder Sentloe, then is Florence free.
Mistress, if this should be done, a crash of your office were not cast away.
Fear not, Blunt, we'll not stick for that.
Then here's my hand. Before the sun go down, I'll do the deed. Sentloe shall shortly die.
The deed being done, come presently to me, and we will frolic in this tragedy.
And exit Florence.
Oh, Sentloe, were it not for thy friend, how many dangerous hadst thou fallen into? The mischiefs now abroach I did foretell, for by my means thy life in safety dwells.
And exit Sentloe. Okay. Just a little drip feed of problematic issues. Just sort of creeping in more and more as we go along. But there are questions about what is actually going on here when Anabell comes in. Do they basically strip her of her gown? You know, is that what was going on there? You know,
They do.
Yeah.
Florence is like, "Oh, I fancy your clothes," and Vallenger is just like, "Yep, take it off, give it to her."
And then we get Florence going. Actually, no, I never liked my chap either. I just did it for the money.
God, she's a manipulative little minx, isn't she? I love it.
And so we have the second plot to kill Sentloe. You know, who should be the poor. I don't see that Sentloe's actually done anything wrong at all in this play. Poor chap. But now it's sort of Herbert's plot here sort of is slightly redeemed from his earlier plot of just wandering around insulting people in really horrible ways, to going, well, he's now being commissioned to murder his friend, and of course presumably he will save him and stuff. And we almost had a fight scene, but not quite. I was thinking we haven't had a fight for ages. It's been a while, so that same thing. So Emily was saying in the chat, soap opera and things. That's another lens we could look at this through, isn't it? A sort of long-running soap where every so often you just have to just say, no, you're evil now. Why? Because the viewing numbers are dipping. We have to kill some people off to get some new characters in. Other thoughts, Stephen?
I don't know if other people sometimes feel this, but I do get quite impatient with these impossibly virtuous females who, whatever is done to them, just go, yes, you know, take my wooden leg, take my false teeth, take my glass eye, for I will obey you. And I wonder if, you know, this might possibly be an indication that early modern people got a bit fed up with that as well. You know, the very kind of all the vitality is with the kind of moustache twiddlers, isn't it? So, you know, if she's going to develop at all, it would have happened by now. And it seems to be almost kind of Punch and Judy or something. It's just kind of taken to this ludicrous extreme. The only reason she's on stage is in the service of the others, to make a point about them. But I wonder if that's a point about the stereotype that she embodies.
What, you suggesting the play may be doing that on purpose as opposed to just happening to do it?
Well, I don't know. It would be it could be funny if you weren't sympathetic to her. Then it could be amusing because she, whatever happens to her, she's just sort of chaste and virtually silent and obedient.
Emily.
Well, if we're talking about staging things, she's being used as a MacGuffin, right? She's a football that's being thrown around. She is the Maltese Falcon. So my inclination would be, in fact, to have a Maltese Falcon on the stage in place of Anabell, and whoever is closest to her not being used to be behind her, saying all her lines for her. Let her just not be a person, but in fact be the thing that she is.
The abstract begins.
Okay, we have one more scene to do before we close this session. Let us dive into it and see where we are. Act 4, Scene 1. Someone's decided that's where an act thing lives. Enter Sir Godfrey, Eustace, and the Doctor, Challener in disguise, and Anabell in her waistcoat.
Oh, my dear daughter, how could he use thee thus?
My son robbed thee of thy fair ornaments.
And for a strumpet's love, oh God, oh God!
Split soul asunder that thy son so viled.
Give me my child, Sir Eustace, as she is, a virtuous maid dishonoured by thy son.
Give me my son, that I may punish him for wronging this fair flower, thy worthy child.
Alack, good night, I make my moan to thee, and thou in true love canst but pity me.
Alas, good night, my griefs so jump with thine, that I, as I weep for thee, so pity mine.
And
Where is my
Ellen.
child? Where is my child? Where is my Anabell?
Here, wife, let us hold hands, and in 3 parts, let's sit around and so weep out our hearts.
How could the wretch, dear soul, abuse thee so?
Call him not wretch, he is wretched but by me. In me consists the cause of all this woe. Fair Florence is the mistress of his heart. To her I am but as a counterfeit. Rather I am an Ethiop, foul, deformed, and therefore hated of my Vallenger.
Beauteous a maid, a blemish not of thy name. Thou art a heavenly bright, and she as black as hell.
Should any but my Anabell say so, though age hath set his foot upon my back, I would maintain thy beauty, swear thou wert fair, nay, more than that, defend it with my sword.
Well, Sir Godfrey, so would I, by heaven I would. I wert against that fugitive, my son, fugitive in forsaking of his wife, to lead the race of an intemperate life.
Hear me but one word, gentle master doctor. The Lord be with the virtuous Challener where he be. Sir, oh no, wait, this has to be Godfrey's line, doesn't it? Oh yeah, no wait, it isn't, sorry. The Lord be with the virtuous Challener where he be. Sir, he should have had my child. Good, honest gentleman, he should, and I repent me 20,000 times. So my good man, forsooth, would needs make up the match with this same unthrift, and now you see how he doth use my child. Alas! This is some comfort in this depth of woe. Thy virtue is preferred before thy foe. What? Oh gosh, he should be using his own voice. Why, then, tell them boldly who thou art. No, be still the doctor. Hold thy course begun. There is a more afoot than a will in haste to be done.
Brother, it shall be so. He shall not have a grave room of my land.
He spends no goods of mine upon his trull.
Cut off all maintenance. That is the way to make him see his sin.
Oh, say not so, dear father, he'll repent, and I shall have a husband of new birth.
Girl, thou art too foolish. So are we too long. Sufferance in this may grow to further wrong.
To a further wrong indeed, for Vallenger hath hired me to poison Anabell.
What? His true-hearted wife?
Delay is averse to danger, credit me, and by that plot Sentloe must likewise die.
Blessed be the hour that ever ye came to Bristow.
A doctor of more honesty there lives not.
Were he our son 1,000 times, we must not let him be a murderer.
No.
Good father, let it suffice you know it, and may prevent it, follow it then no further.
O thou that rules the lottery of life, why should a bad man have a virtuous wife, or a bad wife a husband that is good? Dost thou delight in contrarieties? Then wherefore do we strive for virtue still when we are mastered by a greater will? Come, a good old man, come, a mirror of a true wives. Oh, let my heart with your heart sympathize. Although I am no kinsman to lament, in your distress my griefs as deeply spent.
Doctor, brother, what's to be done?
Oh, God's me. We must go apprehend him straight.
There's no dallying in such a matter of such weight, and therefore let us not be slack in this.
No, no. Rather with your men, beset you Sentloe's house. He may be there. I and my men will post another way. No place shall be unsought, but we will have him.
And exit the two old men.
Good mother, stay them. This their journey forth may breed some mischief, therefore call them back again.
Thou art too foolish, girl, let them go. Thou seeks his love that is thy mortal foe. Oh, thou art framed of constancy thyself. Challener, what a jewel didst thou lose by showing it unto thy faithless friend, and how like dross he doth account of it. Come, a virtuous maiden, wipe those crystal eyes, though thou weepst for love of him a which love defies. Let's in to counsel what may best relieve, where tears and sorrow gives a man a cause to grieve.
And they exit. It's okay. We'll just briefly mention the really awful lines that could just automatically get cut in any production. So we last week we were looking at some masks, playing with exactly the same beauty standard that is being placed here. Yes, it's very much about at the time. We also have Anabell's really she's really swallowed the patriarchy, just really internalized all of it, and really taking it to heart. I am really liking Emily's suggestion that it's just a giant, wheeled on cardboard cutout with movable lips. That someone stands behind and goes every so often, because she's very hard to take seriously here as an actual human being. But then I have to say everybody's doing Godfrey and Eustace so well. It feels like they're just driving the tone of this. Emily.
So Godfrey and Eustace, the two of them actually are reminding me of sort of Sword in the Stone and Pellinor, and Merlin and whatnot. I do love that stage direction. Exit the two old men. I bless. But yes, thinking about, I don't know, cardboard cutout or any sort of puppetry type thing, it could be very interesting to see who's speaking for her when, because Vallenger's not in this scene, but neither is Florence. So, who's sort of speaking for her with, I am now forever going to think, take my glass eye, as a model of, no, All is well. I like my oppression. So
Other thoughts? Because again, what we've got here, of course, in structural terms of what's going on in the plot, is we've figured out he's a wrong-un, because he wasn't really hiding it very well, and now we've got but we haven't got people undisguising themselves yet, because that would spoil the fun. Rachael.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can she I definitely want her as a Muppet. Like, I don't think I've ever suggested Muppets before, and even when everybody else has, but for her, definitely, I want her completely as a Muppet. Yeah, and then just that casual, not even casual, it just comes out of left field racism. Yeah. I don't know. It's so I feel like it's extreme to our ears, but perhaps even to the audience of that time, it would have been extreme in this context, and that she's very self-pitying by the way that she's putting this, this thing onto it. You know what I'm saying? That she's equating her state with this, even though this plot has been found out.
I'd love to be able to give the past a benefit of the doubt on how racist they were, but the beauty standards that they have in play here is that anything that is white and pale is beautiful, as opposed to anything that is darker in tone.
I'm not trying to give them any benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying, I think even for this scene, this comparison that she's making is way out of proportion.
Other thoughts? Before we go to final thoughts, which we're approaching any second now. Because we're over halfway through the play. I mean, actually, the next session might be a bit shorter. It would be if we won't be doing a fair amount of dancing around and stopping and starting.
I just like to apologize for having been wrong so often in that last scene. It's not my best game, and I should be bringing better.
Well, you are sort of playing two people simultaneously, one of whom is trying to pretend to be someone else at the same time. So remembering which voice you're trying to do is...
I've been rehearsing an opera all day, and my mind has turned to mush.
So, I say we're over halfway through the play. I think we've got a fairly good idea of what it's doing. Maybe not how exactly how it's going to end. Don't have nightmares. Final thoughts around the room about what one does with something like this, because normally we sort of are a bit resistant of moving in the direction of sending something up, because it's a very dangerous slippery slope. But it does feel that this text is asking. It was asking to be sent up at the time, and that seems to be its centre of gravity. I don't think anyone here is going, you know what, this is a very serious and important text that we should spend a lot of time dissecting. I think there's certainly some problematic elements of how you would actually stage it today. But yeah, I think we can lean into the general absurdity of all of it. And be critical on that front. But yeah, final thoughts in the room. Resist that line of thought. Move in other directions. Have other ideas. Stephen, any final thoughts?
Well, no, just one thought really, which comes out of what you've just said, which is it's played at Hampton Court, presumably as part of something else. So the nature of the piece might, it could have been designed to fit that milieu rather than particularly the milieu of the public theatres, perhaps. And so all of these things that we're picking up on, well, okay, but if you've got an hour max or whatever it is before everyone leaves the banquet, then you aren't going to be hanging about. And perhaps also the kind of tonal stuff that, the kind of, it's parodies, it's pastiche, there's a kind of locust level plague of cliches here. So maybe if we imagine it in that sort of context, as back to the idea, it is literally an interlude. It's an entertainment rather than a play. Then maybe that'll get us somewhere.
Yeah. Sascha, any final thoughts?
Not really, except that we need to do more of this. I want to see what happens next. It's really, really fun. Good vibrations on comedy. I think if people really wanted to, especially Half Frog, he could actually, if he wanted to, go into stand-up comedy at that point. He really could. I mean, he could just have his one-man show and I'd be happy.
Rachael, any final thoughts?
Yeah, loved Frog. Cut that one little bit. Want to see more.
Liza, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I have to say that in its pace and energy, the play this reminds me the most of is Gascoigne's Supposes. And I really liked Supposes. This one, it's like Supposes, but with added death, potentially, like with murder. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see where this goes.
Emily, any final thoughts?
Yeah, what everyone else said, but I think as well, I had never entirely internalized how close comedy and melodrama are.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and actually trying to do melodrama without getting laughs, especially with a modern audience, is a really interesting thing. I was involved with some readings and stagings of not even Victorian, late Georgian melodrama, and actually, it is absolutely possible. It's all about sincerity, and there are even techniques. I mean, Lecoq has done a lot on actually melodrama, not as an insult, but actually as a formal practice. It's all about basically you have one intention and you head in that intention until you are hit with another, and suddenly and there's no gap. There's no change. You just go from one thing to another to another.
But that's what clowning is, right? Any moment is just, I'm really into that. And then I'm done with it and I move on and I'm really into that. So I mean, well, no wonder Lecoq.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it fits into all the clowning stuff as well. Yeah. So, that's the first half of the play. Final thoughts are very quick, like the play itself. There's lots of options to see where we might go with that. And we haven't even met the king. The king has not even entered the building. He was in the building if he was watching it, because he was definitely in the audience for a performance at Hampton Court on perhaps a Thursday. So on that note, thanks to all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.